have my Mona Lisa from Lashes and Things.
Big
lashes and things. Midlife crisis. So I was scrolling. I get a lot of ideas. We get a lot of ideas.
Scrolling through social media.
We be back and forth with each other, sending each other links, laughing.
A kiki kid. We love to a kiki kid.
So I came across a post that said 20-year-olds nowadays are having midlife crisis. And for me personally, I was like, what do you mean nowadays? Because me, I felt like I had my midlife crisis in my 20s, to be honest with you. I remember I was either between the ages of 21 and 22. And I remember crying to my dad and saying, oh my God, I haven't amounted to nothing. Like I'm nothing. I haven't done anything with my life. And I remember my dad laughing and saying, baby, you a baby.
Right, because especially back when we were in our 20s, was a while ago. It's not like how it is now.
Right.
So the type of pressure, I don't know why you felt that kind of pressure.
I think it was because I had parents who were established. My dad is a registered nurse, my stepmother is a doctor, and my mom is a business owner. But I also had parents that didn't force us to do anything as far as career-wise. We were never pressured to go to college. We were never pressured. My mom said, go to college so you won't never need a man for nothing. Right. That's what's her whole thing. So you can live good like the white people live and you won't never need a man. She told me to do those things, but I grew up also in an environment where I seen kids who were like, if you don't go to college,
right,
we don't fucking know you.
Disown you.
We don't know you.
Right.
And like it was like pressure where we came from a background like where my parents' biggest thing was, are you happy? Don't hurt another human being and don't take no drugs that can kill you. That was their only thing. That's all they ever wanted from us. But I'm living around kids who actually graduated college, were going off to college, where my parents were just like, do you want to go to college? You don't want to go to college? Like, figure it out on your own. So, I don't know, for some reason at that age, it hit me like, and I feel like that's how most 20-year-olds nowadays are feeling, because basically the average 20-year-old nowadays, it has access to be a millionaire overnight. You have 6-year-olds who are successes from YouTube. You know what I mean? So I understand that. So at first when we were going to go with the topic, we were going to talk about the whole 20-year-old things, but then doing research, I was like, wow, this is something that we actually could be experiencing within our own age range. I personally don't feel like I will ever have another midlife crisis. You can laugh at me if you want to, but I honestly believe that my midlife crisis was in my 20s. The only reason I don't think I will ever have another midlife crisis is because, one, I don't have any children. I wasn't married young. And I'm not married. I have no
line of progression towards
nothing.
Anything aging out.
Right. Like, it is what it is. I'm not responsible for anybody.
Except for yourself.
Except for myself. Right. Nobody is waiting on me to make it. Nobody is waiting for me to have some type of career or anything like that. So, for those, if you're a sipper, you've been with us for a while, we like to give the Oxford definition, and then we like to give the Urban Dictionary version of what a midlife crisis is.
So a midlife crisis is an emotional crisis of identity and self-confidence that can occur in the early middle age. To me, when they say that, I don't really know if that's necessarily, I don't really know if midlife crisis is really the term that we should crisis, I feel like you can start having a existential crisis at any time in your life, depending on what's going on in your life.
Right.
I don't think that it really has a age range on it. Like you said, you felt like you had yours in your 20s. I wouldn't say that I'm going through a midlife crisis. I would say that I'm going through a transitional period right now in my life, because I do have my kids I have one grown son and I have one kid that's, in high school. So for me, my life it looks way different right now than it looked a year ago. Mm-hmm. So would I say I'm having a midlife crisis? I would say I'm having a existential crisis right now. Like just trying to transition and figure out where the pieces fit.
That you said that you don't like the term midlife crisis, because when we get further along into the discussion, one of the sources that we used, which was a black woman, she's a counselor, and she doesn't believe in calling it a crisis either. It's just a refresh,
right? A
restart,
right,
to life. So let's get into. Was there another definition for it? Was that? Where midlife crisis?
Oh, midlife crisis. The term comes from Elliot Jakes, a psychoanalysis. He created the term in 1965, and we're sourcing that from Healthline.com.
So, again, I'm glad that we did find a black woman's. Well, it was a collaboration. I will be honest. Sarah, when we state that on there, it was Sarah, and then it was another woman as well, and it was the one who overlooked Sarah's writing, because the black woman is the counselor, the educator of this. But I'm glad that we found the black woman and Sarah who are more up to date, because like you said, it's not really a midlife crisis. But back then in 1965, things were different.
Right.
So everything was based around like crisis, and you can't be mentally sane if all of a sudden you're breaking down.
Or you want to change what you do for a living.
You have to be mentally unstable
because you're not content. But and we have to think about the time period. What was the how long people were living, how people's lifespans were at that time, to even consider what was midlife at that time.
Right. So of course we do the Urban Dictionary, and we love our Urban Dictionary, because the Urban Dictionary will have, like we said last episode, if you want a good laugh, just go to the Urban Dictionary
and just Google just look up anything any term you can think of. I'm guarantee you that Urban got a better definition for you than you're gonna read.
Something that's just gonna make you laugh. If you having a bad day, fuck with Urban Dictionary. So, midlife crisis, Urban Dictionary. When a person regrets how they have lived his or her life, and they attempt to correct their mental issue in a variety of ways, which usually always harms themselves or the closest to them.
That is a goddamn lie.
But I think they taking it from the movie aspect.
Right,
of it.
like when they just lose their shit completely.
Listen, so they give you an example. So the example goes, "Hey Tim, how's it going, bruh? I just realized I hate my life up until now, and I feel like I jumped into this marriage. I'm planning to divorce my wife, and I'm going to sell this stupid station wagon." So Tim goes on to say to him, "Hey Bob, you've been married for 47 years.
That's way past midlife.
You've been married for 47. No, you're 47. No, you're 47 years old. You've been married for 24 years with 3 kids, and you have one on the way. Now, if you decide to uproar your life like this, not only she's going to get you for child support,
alimony.
She's going to get you for alimony, and on top of that, your health. You have a pacemaker. Your health It's not like they have a whole storyline and I'm breaking it down and I'm abbreviating it. But basically,
you about to die,
bitch,
and you gonna need your wife.
And he's talking about stuff. But if you go to Urban Dictionary, I'm telling you, this is the first thing that comes up.
Yo.
And then he says he has a date with the secretary or the intern that works at their office, but you got a pacemaker.
I'm gonna pray for you, Bob.
Right.
Tim, whatever your name is, I'm gonna pray for him.
But people make these drastic changes.
I don't think that.
No. The people make
They do.
They make these drastic changes, and then the aftermath is now you done lost your whole family because
you wanted that though.
No, because you thought that you wanted that, but
what? But what did you think was going to happen?
I think one of the big factors in that is not communicating your feelings or being able to communicate your feelings with your spouse.
Right.
Your spouse is supposed to be your best friend.
Well, not only communicating those things, but understanding what the person is actually saying to you. Because you can talk to somebody till you blue in the face. That don't mean that they fucking understand.
Say that shit again. Say that shit again. Say that shit again.
Understanding is
because I live that shit. You can straight be talking to somebody,
and they ain't heard not a word that came out your fucking mouth.
They heard you.
They didn't understand.
They didn't comprehend it. Just like that reading and comprehending shit that we always talk about, like motherfuckers. Y'all was worried about us doing math, and nobody
worried about comprehension like how y'all was supposed to.
And now we got calculated.
Comprehension.
But we ain't got nothing for a motherfucker to
comprehension, right? Comprehension is way more important.
Because now we got calculators. We literally have stuff that we walk around with calculators where people can actually do math.
And guess what? But guess what, Michelle? Somebody will still ask you a question that's Googleable.
Right.
With their phone in their hand.
I always give you the stale face. Or I ignore those text messages.
No, I just like to repeat myself the same way that I said it the first time. Same tone and everything. I'm just going to say it again to you. And just look at you.
So when does this midlife crisis usually happen though?
It says, well, maybe. When your children are young or you have early success. It doesn't give it, between ages of 40 and 60. But.
Or when you have young children.
Well, you have your children grow up or.
You have your children. The one part that I liked that they said was early success. Because a lot of people want to think that a midlife crisis is always based around the fact that you haven't succeeded yet.
Right.
And that's not always the case. You can have early success if you're in your 20s or in your 30s, your early 30s, and you succeeded, you're financially secure, and then all of a sudden you sit back and there is still something missing. Because people want to equate happiness. Trust me, money does make you happy.
Do not let.
I'm not going to say money doesn't make you happy because money gives you a lot of freedom.
Right.
But to the core,
no, absolutely not.
You have to be happy before you get the money. Because if you're not happy before you get the money and the success, it's gonna
make it a little bit easier to be sad.
Yeah. So I like that one where they brought that up, that it's early success. But then they also talk about how having kids early. And then a lot of the people that I went to school with, now, I don't have any kids, so that's why I say y'all. Y'all are sending y'all kids out into the world. Like y'all nest is about to be empty.
This is a crazy space to be in right now.
And y'all still young.
I don't think people realize how fast it happens. You literally you go through the paces, you go to all of the meetings and assemblies and games and shows and all these things, and then you blink twice and they're out of school. They're out of school, and then you have to figure out how to let go and hold on at the same time.
Right.
How to not be overbearing, but still care enough. You gotta learn how to not care so much. You have to have faith in the person that you raise, that they're going to go out into society and hopefully be productive and safe.
I was just talking to my dad earlier, and I said the greatest thing that God could have ever did for me is not allow me to have kids. Because I'm already an overthinker. I already get stressed out about the littlest fucking things. So I cannot imagine having children. Like, my life...
It's like having a mini heart attack every day.
Right!
It's like having a mini heart attack every day.
Right. I overthink so much stuff in my life. So my heart goes out to y'all people. Like, I have to watch my nephew tomorrow for 4 hours. And I had a little panic attack. Because the last time I watched him, it was more easy because he's only 2 years old.
Right.
And it was more easy because he was on his way to bed. So I only had a little bit. And they're different. His mom was like, he's probably not going to want to go to sleep. Well, they're different when they're with you. He put the cover on him and said, okay. I said, it's time to go to bed. He said, okay. And he went to sleep. There was no problem. But now it's like, okay, I'm picking him up at 4 o'clock. And I'm going to
be full of energy.
Right.
Fresh out the track. He's fresh out the track.
And I'm going to have this whole human that I'm going to be responsible for 4 hours.
Imagine being responsible for keeping a human alive for 18 years. Like, imagine keeping a human alive for 18 years.
I can't.
I can't. Right? This shit is stressful.
And I was stressed with my dog.
I be stressed out.
That's why my dog lives with my aunt now.
We don't even talk about Rocky no more.
I know, I miss Rocky so much.
We don't even talk about Rocky.
So, the stages. Let's get into the stages of your midlife crisis. Because you might be going through it and you don't even know that you're fucking going through it. Because black people, we don't talk about shit like this. When, leave it in the comments, I want to know. When's the last time you really sat down with one of your friends and was like, this is how I'm feeling.
Last night.
This is, life is getting the best of me.
Life is kicking my ass. She got hands.
I had to put that on my own. Y'all know I always do the plug. I had to put that on my OnlyFans page. Like, I had to, like, a few of my fans reached out to me and I was like, listen, life has been kicking my motherfucking ass.
Right.
That's why I ain't been on here.
Life got hands and my reflex is a little bit slow right now. I'm blocking fully like how I'm supposed to. A couple of them jabs is getting through.
But even when I was doing research, I'm glad that I found a black counselor that was talking about it, because I was like, do black people even have midlife crises? Do we even know?
We in full crisis mode our whole life. We came out the womb with trauma and crisis.